right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Okay, what I got today is this is a phone conversation, recorded phone conversation with Chile DeCastro to his own channel, Delete Lawz, and Brian from Here's the Deal sitting in for Chile to help keep his channel up and going. So because Chile needs that channel going, he lose that income if he doesn't have that. Doesn't have it up and running. So, and I found it interesting that he's getting more views than what he got when he runs one of his normal live streams, and by a lot. But anyway, the reason there's been I think this is the third call that had been recorded and aired on his channel, and the reason I'm doing this is I had someone reach out to me after we covered this on live stream. Oh gosh, I lose track of the days. The night before last, Tuesday night, I believe it was. Yeah, on Ram Jam on our live stream. Anyway, Dickbag Patrol and I had played this back and debunked some stuff. We had a couple guests that also, shed some light on some things. But anyway, what got my attention in this conversation, or when someone contacted me, it was stuff that I could easily look into, and that's what I did. And I will, as it unfolds, I will let you know what I had found out, and we'll just take it from there. All right. So hit that like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Without further ado, it's Jose Maria de Castro.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing out there in the free world? What's going on out there in the land of the unfree America? I guess I'm kind of the embodiment of that right now, aren't I? So thanks, Brian, for setting this up. And before we get going, I wanted to give a deep and warm thanks to my friend Brian, who, without him, I wouldn't have a voice and I wouldn't have an outlet. And he's done such an amazing job of fundraising, and y'all have put in your hard-earned money, and I just want to say thank you, and I won't stop. And I want to say thank you to Brian specifically for doing what he's done. And there's so many other people who have been helping me behind the scenes that I'm not going to say their names out loud, but thank you to all of you. And I wish I could call each and every one of you. I wish I could pick up the phone, say, hey, thank you so much for supporting me and staying with me, because this is literally the hardest thing that I've ever been through. The dungeon system here in Nevada is the place that I'm at is a minimum security prison, a minimum security dungeon where I've kind of laid it out in a couple of videos on and talking with the editor, and it's just this big room where there's just beds. Not so much that the guards are mean. It's just kind of like a schoolyard bully who will, tell you to shut up, and you have to shut up, because if you don't shut up, you will be sent over to your bunk, which is a metal sheet, and then there's like a 1-inch thin, it's such a tattered, you call a mattress, but it's not a mattress. I wrote about it. I'll have a ebook coming out when I get out of here, because there's just so much information to share. But then you have to go to your bunk and lay on this sheet of metal, and you have to stay there. I have to stay on the sheet of metal at least 18 hours a day. There's a registered or scheduled 8 hours of free time every day, which would include sitting on a cafeteria table or taking a shower or going out into this they call a rec yard. But I stay on my bed. I stay on my bed 22, 23 hours a day. I only leave that bed to take a shower, and brush my teeth, and eat the slop that they serve. And it's pig slop. It's the lowest form of food you could possibly put into a human being. It literally, they give you bologna, a little slab of bologna some days, and then in the morning they'll give you you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, you're done with breakfast by 4 at the latest, but the breakfast is late. Breakfast consists of a glob of peanut butter, cornflakes, and a packet of jelly, white bread.
Alrighty then. Okay, so this is where it all started. Someone contacted me and told me that they had reason to believe that Chile's exaggerating and maybe even making a false statement. So I contacted Clark County Detention Center. My objective was to find out what their menus were and if they followed the federal guidelines or what guidelines they followed for nourishment for the inmates. And I was prompted to go to their website, and I was also prompted that there was recently an investigation into or a story done, I guess, by an investigative reporter, a real investigative reporter, into the meals served in the Clark County, Nevada Detention Center. And what I got up on the screen there is just an excerpt from that information. And as it states, breakfast usually consists of a Danish cereal, hot or cold, and milk. Now, the other two meals are generally a lot more. The breakfast is not really a big breakfast. It doesn't look like they have eggs or anything like that. But cereal, Danish, milk, and I think it also said juice, and and I'll pull that up here in a few minutes. Anyway, so there's number one right there. I will put a link to this story as well as refer to it in this video. So there we go. There's number one, a glob of peanut butter on a slice of bread. Yeah, all right. Let's get back.
I have to get my blood pressure down, so I don't eat that white bread and I don't eat that jelly. So I just glob of peanut butter and I don't eat those flakes. And I would recommend anybody else that their flakes are just garbage. So then after that, you got to go back to your bunk and you stay there until 8 o'clock in the morning. And then from 8 till 9 or 10 or 11, depending on if you get locked down or not, locked down again, you have to go back to your bunk again, sit on the bunk. And then 8 to 11, you'll have free time, and then they'll serve lunch at about 11. Then you're locked down again from 11 till noon, or I think it's 10 a.m. we have lunch, and then you're locked down from 10 o'clock until noon, and then you're free from noon until 3 o'clock, which is how I was able to make this phone call now. And now, at any time, you can get in trouble and get locked down. Now, it consists of anything, just absolutely anything. For example, there's 4 aisles here. If you walk down an aisle that your bunk is not on, you'll be locked down for 24 hours. That's where you cannot leave your bunk for 24 hours. And then there's a lot of personalities in here. So someone might say you're looking at them. It's the most ridiculous. So then you're free till 3, or supposed to be free. I could be on the phone, the cafeteria table, or on my bunk. That's free time, or in the shower. And so then I'll be locked down again in exactly 1 hour, if not sooner. And then I'll be back on my bunk from 3 until 7 o'clock. So dinner at 7 o'clock, and then you're free again from 8 p.m. until 11 p.m. or 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. That's what my days are like. That's kind of what I'm living day in and day out. So for the past 3 or 4 days, I've just been downloading to the editor how I think and what I think, and just sharing with you guys my thought processes and how I see the world and how I see the world. And now, more than ever, these petty squabbles between people who are on the side of transparency and liberty, they must be squashed. We must unite at some way, some level. Egos have to drop, and friendships and alliances must be formed, or we will be divided, conquered. And I will be appealing this obstruction conviction and the resisting conviction, because if I don't, the next time they arrest me, then they'll try to put me in jail for a very long time. I have an appeals hearing on Monday morning in Las Vegas, and I know that I mentioned last time that maybe some of you guys should come. If think that this time we should pack that courtroom. I have free Chile t-shirts up on the website in the next 2 moments, but really they may not be done in time to wear them to the hearing. So you could just get a t-shirt from Walmart for $3 and write free Chile on it and come to the hearing. If you're in the Las Vegas, Nevada area, if you're in Southern California, you can make the drive, then I'm asking you to come, because we have to show the judge that I'm not just a leader online, I'm a leader in real life. And a leader in real life has people show up.
Yeah, well, of course, Chile makes it sound like this is all going to be looked at and overturned or reversed or whatever. And he does have a. We went over it page by page last night on the live stream. He does have a motion that they're going to hear Monday. He's going to request to be released on his own recognizance, or at least have some type of bond set. So, but he makes it sound completely different than what the real picture is. So now I'm going to refer to Patrick Darcy, who is a renowned lawyer in Southern California, who also follows Chile fairly closely. So he generally gives us insight into things, and that's what he does as an attorney. So I've got a clip here that I borrowed from him off his live stream yesterday on the 27th, and I'm sure he's good with that, and I appreciate it, Mr. Darcy. And without further, let's see what he has to say about this appeal.
Well, now that Chile has lost on his 2 counts and is in jail, let me address what I think is going to happen with this appeal, because I think he will appeal. First of all, he's dead wrong if he thinks the appeal will be decided within the next 6 months. No way. It's not a high priority case. It's a misdemeanor case. It's going to probably be a 1.5 years before it's heard, but he's not getting out in 30 days. No way. Also, they would know that he's a flight risk because of the warrant that's out in Ohio that I'm told is out there. I saw that in a traffic stop. So getting him out on bond would be very difficult. He'd have to pledge collateral and security, especially with a bail bondsman thinking that he's going to abscond. So I think he's staying in jail. Next, what about the appeal itself? A lot of people have a misunderstanding of what happens with appellate process. First of all, he is going to need an appellate lawyer. Appellate law is a completely different animal than regular trial work that I do. Appellate court is going to look at errors in law, errors in admissibility of evidence, testimony that was not supposed to be entered into the record. But before they get to that step, they're also going to be looking at whether or not the person complaining about it did what's called invited error. In other words, did they object on the record to this? If there was this was a very short trial, so the record is pretty small. Let's just talk about what the judge did from an appellate point of view. From an appellate point of view, she said very clearly that she based her conviction on what she saw with the videotape. Now, was it a good idea for Chile to give the thumbs up and agree he hates all cops? She even said, look, he's nodding approvingly here. No, it's never a good idea to antagonize a judge when they're handing down a sentence.
Okay, so there's Patrick Darcy speaking the truth about how an appeal works and maybe getting bonded out and so on and so forth. But yet the constitutional law scholar Chile de Castro depicts it in a lot different light because he's a law scholar, he knows everything. And so there you go on that. And then coming up here, Chile calls upon his followers to go buy a $3 Walmart t-shirt and write on it, "Free Chile," and show up to his hearing Monday, April the 1st. Well, I say to that, if you're on the opposing side of that, go get you a $3 Walmart. Hell, go buy a $5 one. and ride on it. Keep him. Keep Chile. But this is where this guy's mouth gets him into trouble coming up here. Just once again, just like in the court hearing, he can't help himself. He just has to keep his mouth going. So, all right, well, sit back and take this in.
Just show up. We need to pack that courtroom full of people that all are united with the same message that the tyrannical sentencing and the wrongful arrest should not go unnoticed by real people who show up. They know, free him. And I'm going to keep it together during this talk because I have to. But I have not been dishonest. I have cried 1,000 tears. I have spent many days and nights awake, just sitting there with my eyes open, thinking about how this kind of tyranny, how this kind of injustice could happen to me, and what my responsibility in it is. And I've already owned that. And I'm live and I'm talking to so many of you now. I'll own it again. I have told you all, I have lectured you all, that when you go to court, you have to sit up straight, yes sir, no sir, yes your honor, no your honor, and I did not do that. So I take full responsibility for my flight, for my disregard of what the system is. You know, you shouldn't have to do those things, but you do. And because I didn't do them, and I gave that, the wife of the cop, the judge, her last name, Zimmerman, is exactly that of her ex-husband, Lieutenant Zimmerman from Las Vegas Metro Police Department.
So Chile implies here that Judge Zimmerman's married to a police officer, a lieutenant, and that is not true. I've looked into it. I believe she's married to an attorney. I'm pretty sure. I don't know that for a fact, but I do know she's not married to a police officer. And he's implying that because she is showing bias on the bench. Come on. I mean, it's so nonsensical that I don't know how anybody could just I guess people feed off of this crap, you know. Just like fraudsters do, though. Well, and you know, no different than the rest of them. He records himself, and he incriminates himself with his own spewing of false statements and nonsense. And that's exactly what this is. And he really pushes it here. And you'll see in this next clip, it's the beginning of the end because of him spewing false accusations that the judge being biased. What a dumbass. He deserves everything he's getting.
So she is the wife of a cop, meaning that while we on this team, despise cops or strongly dislike them or don't respect them, she sleeps with them and marries them. And she has wedding parties with hundreds of cops, and she thinks these are the greatest guys in the world. So when I acted...
This call is being terminated by the facility.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Yeah, you think that possibly the fact that he started mentioning something about the judge's personal life and making a false statement that she's married to a police lieutenant and that she's biased. Yeah, you know, these calls they're not all monitored, but you know that under these circumstances, he's spent so much time on the phone since he's been in there. There's no way in the world that they're not paying attention to what he's spewing. And I'm sure the contacts that have been made to the Clark County Detention Center since he's been incarcerated are probably tenfold. You know, they probably don't receive this many inquiries and emails and stuff. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know that I've made my fair share of contacts and submitted a couple emails, and I know others, Dickbag Patrol has too, and probably a few others out there. So, yeah, I mean, you have You have an inmate that that obviously draws attention to your facility. And do you think they're going to be slopping peanut butter on a piece of bread to him with the attention this guy's getting? Yeah, they're preparing 9,000 meals a day, 3,000 inmates times 3, but yet Chille's getting bread with a glob of peanut butter and some jelly packets. Come on. You know, it's so ridiculous that he can even think he can state something like that and not be questioned on it. It just blows my mind. Same thing these frauditors always do. They incriminate themselves with their own rhetoric. You know, just because they can't keep their mouth shut. You know, especially this one. Can't keep his mouth shut. Yeah, it just blows my mind. I so easily debunked. Simple. The logic of it just doesn't even make sense, which also applies a lot of times to Chile, you know. Okay, now back to the food situation, since Chile over dramatized and implied that that's what he was getting as a meal. This is from that Nevada Sun-Times article. I pulled it right out of the article. So this is what Clark County Detention Center was serving their 3,000 inmates at the time of this article. All right, so here you go. Here's one of the meals. 2 crispy chicken patties, a half cup of Cajun potatoes, 1 ounce of fresh baked cookie, bread and margarine, fruit drink, and these are veggies in this bowl here. A half cup of veggies is what they said. And the county contracts with a company called Aramark to manage the food preparation and distribution in the jail. So, you know, it's a big company, knows what they're doing. And they allow prison trustees to work in the kitchen too, as rewards for good behavior, so on and so forth. And what I saw on the internet, the pictures of the kitchen, it's immaculate. It's beautiful, stainless steel, pretty. I mean, just a nice looking kitchen. Now, the other meal that's provided, I believe, was turkey. What does that say? Oh yeah, turkey a la king. So that's 8 ounces. There's a fudge brownie, bread and butter, hot tea, vegetables, and yep, that's it. So they get a half cup of noodle or whatever that says, quarter cup, whatever that is, with 8 ounces of turkey a la king. Anyway, looks a far cry from peanut butter on a slice of bread. So, and this is all provided, and these menus are kind of a federal guideline, are based on federal guidelines. I mean, they can't get away with doing that. You know, a jail that size is not going to be throwing out a chunk of peanut butter on bread and maybe give you some crackers or some jelly packets. So, yeah, Chile, nice try, buddy, but, you know, information is just too readily available these days. I'm going to go ahead and go back to Patrick Darcy and let him continue to explain the appellate process and why he believes Chile won't succeed in his appeal. So without further, let's get back to Patrick, and then we'll wind this thing up.
In terms of the sentence itself, it's in the midpoint of what she could have offered. So I warned about that, and I also warned that they could string them together consecutively in my other video. You guys have all seen that. I went out and told you what I thought would happen, and it pretty much happened as I told you it would. She strung them together. Well, now, you know, 6 months is a long time. Okay, that shocked me. That was harsher than I was expecting. I mean, the DA wasn't even looking for jail time and a suspended sentence. And the judge looked at the DA like, you got to be kidding me. So did the judge abuse her discretion? No, you're going to lose on that. I'm just telling you, you're going to lose. The judge has wide discretion. Discretion isn't unbridled, as they say. There are limits to discretion. For example, discretion does not allow her to commit an error of law. In California, for example, if you want to file a 170.6 motion to disqualify a judge, you have to do it within, I think, either 10 or 15 days of being served it. The other thing is that Chille's Antics, in the beginning of the case, calling the marshal a pig, the judge could have held him in criminal contempt. Criminal contempt is any violation that's in front of the judge, but the judge warned him and decided not to. So that's going to be count in her favor when people say she's biased. What I heard was basically the lawyer arguing the defenses that Chile was going to offer, First Amendment defenses. Well, First Amendment defenses, those are pretty touch and go. I don't like those because this is a criminal case, not a civil case. And in a criminal case, you better have case authority like the judge asked for. You better have case authority that supports your position that this is an absolute defense to the charge. It's not easy to do in the criminal arena. And if you say, well, and I saw people writing this, well, you can't criminalize a constitutional right. Yes, you can. It happens all the time. I'll just give you some obvious examples. You want to yell bomb on an airplane? Good luck. Your First Amendment doesn't cover you in an airplane. Okay? You can't yell fire in a theater. You've heard that cliche because it's true. There are limits to everything. There is no such thing as unlimited constitutional liberty. Believe me, over time, they found ways to shave it down. The constitutional test for you YouTubers out there that want to be lawyers, rational basis. Any rational decision by the government will be good enough to apply it as long as it's applied in a neutral fashion. Next is, there's a mid-level scrutiny and then there's strict scrutiny. Strict scrutiny is anything that would impinge on a constitutional liberty, and it has to be narrowly, there must be a compelling government interest. I didn't hear any cases discussed in the closing argument that would support a First Amendment defense. Now, Michael Mee said that he submitted them to the judge. It is in the record. The appellate court will do its own legal research and analysis on that.